Buenos días. Sí se escucha, ¿verdad? Sí. Sí, disculpen que tengo todavía algunos problemas de voz, pero bueno, esperemos que ya con este micrófono me puedan escuchar bien. Pues muy buenos días a todos. Para quien no me conoce, mi nombre es Valeria Valero, soy la Coordinadora Nacional de Monumentos Históricos del INAH y pues tendré el gusto de moderar esta sesión inaugural. Y pues es realmente un placer, un honor estar aquí hoy con todos ustedes en este magnífico espacio que nos recibe para dar inicio a un curso de capacitación que el Instituto Nacional de Antropología e Historia, a través de la Coordinación Nacional de Monumentos Históricos, ha tenido en planes pues desde hace varios años, a partir de una serie de misiones en México llevadas a cabo por especialistas húngaros para apoyar en la restauración del patrimonio cultural dañado por los sismos de 2017. Y en el marco del Acuerdo de cooperación entre la Secretaría de Cultura y el Ministerio de Asuntos Exteriores de Hungría en materia de restauración y conservación del patrimonio cultural mexicano afectado por los sismos de 2017, que fue suscrito el 9 de abril de 2019. Pues desde las primeras visitas al país tuvimos la oportunidad de intercambiar información, experiencias y puntos de vista con los especialistas. De ahí surgió la idea de llevar a cabo, como parte del muy generoso apoyo recibido por el gobierno de Hungría, actividades de intercambio científico, tecnológico y educativo, y con ello también abrir un canal de colaboración entre especialistas mexicanos y húngaros. Pues con estos antecedentes se pensó y diseñó el taller que hoy nos convoca. From Space to Data, Smart Survey Methods in Architecture and Archaeology. Que bueno, en la traducción más o menos sería del espacio a los datos, métodos inteligentes, aunque también lo podremos definir como eficientes, de reconocimiento o levantamiento de arquitectura y arqueología, que será impartido por dos extraordinarios profesionistas que están, por supuesto, ya aquí con nosotros, el doctor Sol Basaros y el maestro Mort Pendegis Takatis. Perdón por la pronunciación. I'm very sorry about my pronunciation. Y bueno, pues me gustaría en este momento ceder el micrófono al historiador Salvador Rueda Smithers, pues magnífico director de este museo, del Museo Nacional de Historia, pues quien nos dirigirá unas palabras de bienvenida. ¿Ese funciona o no?
Sí, funciona. Muy buenos días a todos. ¿Se escucha? Sí. Muy buenos días a todos. Bienvenidos esta magnífica mañana de enero al Museo Nacional de Historia. Hace un par de meses, la arquitecta Rosana Trujillo, arquitecta residente del Castillo Chapultepec, me pedía considerara la solicitud de la arquitecta Valeria de hacer aquí un curso sobre un diálogo con arquitectos húngaros. Bien a bien no sabía yo exactamente de qué se trataba, pero María Sánchez tuvo bien de irme platicando más o menos el tema y quiénes eran los que iban a venir, y me pareció que era para mí como si se abriera un mundo completo. Los historiadores no estamos acostumbrados a este tipo de diálogos, y yo creo que es la primera vez que va a haber una cosa así en el Castillo de Chapultepec, lo cual nos hace sentir no solo muy orgullosos, sino siento que es comenzar el año con el pie derecho, porque nos abrimos a un tipo de cultura, un tipo de visión, a un tipo de una perspectiva de la vida distinta a la que nos acostumbramos los mexicanos. Nosotros en particular voy a hablar de mi experiencia personal. Tenemos muchos diálogos en este mismo sitio y casi siempre son diálogos internos, como que estamos buscando los recovecos del espíritu de lo mexicano. Y se nos olvida que somos parte de un mundo y que la antropología, la arqueología y la historia tienen un horizonte mucho más amplio y que es tarea del INA tener esa visión de horizonte más amplio. Entonces, cuando María Sánchez me platicaba de qué se trataba, dije, no, bueno, tenía razón Rosana Trujillo en pedirlo, y qué bueno que Valeria se lo pidió. Conocí el programa apenas, y sin embargo al leer los currícula de los dos ponentes, realmente me quedé impresionado. Por un lado de arquitectura y por el otro lado de arqueología, y ambos con visiones de un área del mundo que es muy ajena a nosotros. Eso creo que ese es el verdadero plus para los que estamos aquí, que tenemos el lente abierto hacia afuera y no el microscopio para ver hacia adentro. Quiero dar la bienvenida al señor Gábor Endrényi, de la Embajada de Hungría. Bienvenido, señor. Viene él en representación del embajador. Al arqueólogo Antonio Huitrón. Antonio Huitrón, bienvenido. Él viene en representación del director general Diego Prieto. Yo solo quiero darles la bienvenida, que se sientan que están en su casa. Cualquier cosa que necesiten, estamos, aquí abajo está la oficina, pero hay gente de nosotros en todas partes para que se sientan ustedes apapachados, que no piensen en otra cosa más que lo que van a oír sobre From Space to Data, Smart Survey Methods in Architecture and Archaeology. Ni más ni menos. Sean bienvenidos.
Muchísimas gracias, Salvador, por tus palabras y, bueno, por supuesto, por recibirnos en este espacio y permitir que este taller se pueda impartir en las instalaciones de este magnífico museo. Bueno, ahora tengo el gusto de ceder la palabra a Gábor Endrényi, jefe de misión adjunto de la Embajada de Hungría en México y, bueno, y gran aliado también en la organización de las diversas actividades pues que han emanado de este acuerdo de cooperación firmado entre Hungría y México. Muchas gracias, Gábor. A ti el micrófono.
Muchas gracias, estimadas autoridades, estimada coordinadora nacional, distinguido coordinador nacional, apreciado director, estimadas señoras y señores. Les doy, en nombre de la Embajada de Hungría, les doy la más cordial bienvenida a todos. Es un gran placer y honor estar aquí en este lugar tan magnífico, privilegiado, y al mismo tiempo pues, les transmito un saludo particular de parte del embajador, que por problemas de agenda este día no pudo estar con nosotros. Sabrán ustedes que Hungría y México suscribieron 3 acuerdos de aportación financiera, de aportación técnica en otoño de 2020. Fueron 3 pues, sobre la restauración de algunas partes del museo, del Templo Sagrado Corazón de Jesús en la Ciudad de México, en la colonia Juárez, y ya pues se concluyeron estos trabajos con el apoyo y la ayuda de INVAL. Luego otro acuerdo sobre la restauración del Templo de la Natividad en Tepoztlán, eso ya con INAH. Ya está, o sea, ya falta poco para la entrega de estas partes que han sido restauradas por el apoyo financiero del gobierno húngaro, y también sobre la asistencia técnica en forma de adquisición de materiales, softwares, etcétera, y visitas, en forma de visitas de expertos húngaros. Y este programa, pues este curso se enmarca en este proyecto, esta parte de este proyecto. Yo lo que quería resaltar es la solidaridad de parte del gobierno húngaro para rescatar y restaurar monumentos artísticos, patrimonio religioso y patrimonio cultural al mismo tiempo. Sabemos que pues, estos acuerdos se firmaron a raíz, o sea, después de la devastadoras sismos de 2017. Pero como les dije, no es solo una aportación financiera, sino es también aportación técnica y es igualmente muy importante. Lo que queríamos con esta asistencia técnica, con esta aportación técnica, es que hubiera más intercambio de experiencias, intercambio de know-how, de conocimiento, y por eso es un placer enorme pues tener aquí a nuestros compatriotas expertos húngaros que sin lugar a duda van a impartir un curso extraordinario, un curso que les va a resultar muy interesante y muy útil. Lo que queremos, en lo que confiamos, es que estos proyectos no sean solo aislados, sino a raíz de esta cooperación pues salga un diálogo duradero, unos proyectos duraderos, o sea, consolide aún más la cooperación muy fructífera entre INAH y Hungría, y pues en general entre México y Hungría, diría yo. Entonces yo pues me paro aquí y les deseo un curso exitoso y charlas muy enriquecedoras. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Gabor, por tus palabras y por supuesto por todo el apoyo y disposición a lo largo pues, de este proceso. Y pues sí, realmente nosotros también deseamos una cooperación a largo plazo y pues así de fructífera como ha sido hasta ahora. Muchas gracias. Y pues ahora escucharemos el mensaje del director general del INAH, el antropólogo Diego Prieto, que está a cargo del arqueólogo Luis Antonio Huitrón Santoyo, coordinador nacional de desarrollo institucional del INAH. A ti los micrófonos, querido Toño.
Muchas gracias, Valeria, con la honrosa representación del antropólogo Diego Prieto Hernández, director general del Instituto Nacional de Antropología e Historia. Extiendo sus saludos respetuosos y fraternos. El director desafortunadamente no puede estar con nosotros en el inicio de esta actividad académica de cooperación binacional, pero se alegra mucho de que estemos reunidos en el Museo Nacional de Historia, Castillo de Chapultepec, espacio insigne de nuestra historia. Sean todos bienvenidos. A continuación, daré el mensaje que nos envía el antropólogo Diego Prieto. Muy apreciado Gabor Endreni, jefe de misión adjunto de la Embajada de Hungría, estimado Salvador Rueda, director del Museo Nacional de Historia, querida Valeria Valero, coordinadora nacional de monumentos históricos del INAH, estimados todos, apreciados integrantes del cuerpo diplomático de la Embajada de Hungría y de misión, compañeras y compañeros de la Coordinación Nacional de Monumentos Históricos, de los centros INAH del país y de las áreas sustantivas de nuestra institución, queridos todos. Han pasado poco más de 2 años que se firmó el segundo convenio de colaboración con Hungría en pro del patrimonio cultural mexicano. Fue entonces, para ser preciso, en noviembre del año 2020, que en medio de una pandemia mundial se formalizó este instrumento específico y con él se abría la expectativa de que, una vez recuperada la normalidad, fuese posible retomar las actividades académicas presenciales, lo cual el evento de hoy nos llena de entusiasmo. Hoy, 9 de enero del 2023, gracias al trabajo arduo y al esfuerzo colectivo de autoridades, especialistas y personal administrativo de ambos países, es posible llevar a cabo esta actividad académica binacional. Del espacio a los datos, levantamientos, métodos de levantamiento en arquitectura y arqueología, cuyo objetivo es fortalecer las capacidades técnicas mediante procesos digitales de documentación y representación tridimensional de bienes del patrimonio cultural desde la escala artefactual a la monumental. Es de destacar que, con la experiencia transmitida por los especialistas húngaros, ampliaremos nuestras capacidades para hacer eficiente el diseño, supervisión y ejecución de proyectos de conservación, investigación y difusión que distintas áreas técnicas sustantivas del Instituto realizan con esmero y dedicación. Nuestro agradecimiento a Valeria Valero Pie y a todo su equipo por hacer posible este espacio de intercambio de conocimientos en el marco del Acuerdo de Aportación firmado por el Gobierno de Hungría a través de su embajada. Gracias a los más de 20 participantes de los diversos centros SINA, de las coordinaciones nacionales y de la Escuela Nacional de Conservación, Restauración y Museografía, que durante estos días estarán capacitándose en este excepcional recinto, que sin su disciplina e interés por seguir fortaleciendo sus capacidades y su compromiso por intercambiar experiencias, este espacio de conocimiento tampoco sería posible. No debemos olvidar que la cooperación entre ambos países nació como un gesto de solidaridad del gobierno de Hungría con el pueblo de México tras los devastadores efectos de los sismos del año 2017, tanto en infraestructura educativa, hospitalaria, vivienda y patrimonio cultural. En esta oportunidad quiero reconocer el ahínco, capacidad y gentileza de quienes han intervenido en la concreción de la cooperación binacional entre México y Hungría para la reconstrucción del patrimonio cultural afectado y, por supuesto, a todos los que han hecho posible que hoy estemos inaugurando este evento. Quienes integramos el Instituto Nacional de Antropología e Historia, agradecemos el interés del Gobierno de Hungría por acompañar al INA en la conservación del patrimonio cultural a través de este acuerdo de aportación en forma de asistencia técnica y estamos ciertos que el conocimiento construido en este espacio será vertido de forma responsable para la conservación del patrimonio cultural por parte de quienes integramos esta institución del Gobierno de México. Que el conocimiento compartido, construido y colaborativo entre ambos países nos motive a continuar tejiendo redes comunes para la conservación del patrimonio cultural en el mundo contemporáneo. Siendo las 9:57 del día 9 de enero del año 2023, damos por inauguradas las actividades del curso del espacio a los datos, métodos para el levantamiento en arquitectura y arqueología. Que todo sea para bien. Enhorabuena.
Bueno, pues con esto damos inicio al curso. Vamos a hacer un cambio de mesa para que nuestros ponentes, nuestros profesores puedan subir al estrado. Yo también me quedaré para presentarlos. solamente un par de asuntos. Bueno, como todos ustedes saben, el curso tendrá una duración de 10 días. Como ya se mencionó, pues cuenta con la participación de 29 especialistas del INA y de la UNAM, provenientes de distintos centros de trabajo, ¿no?, de este instituto. Quisiera pues dar la más cordial bienvenida a nuestros compañeros del Centro INA Aguascalientes, Chihuahua, Guanajuato, Morelos, Nuevo León, San Luis Potosí, Sinaloa y Zacatecas. Muchísimas gracias de verdad por estar aquí hoy con nosotros, por destinar este tiempo pues a este curso y bueno, pues por todo el interés demostrado. Pues también quisiera dar la bienvenida a los participantes que vienen de la Escuela Nacional de Conservación, Restauración y Museografía de la ENCRIM y también de la Coordinación Nacional de Arqueología y de la Coordinación Nacional de Monumentos Históricos. Pues muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes. De verdad es que es un gusto que hoy podamos pues tenerlos aquí y bueno, pues ahora sí que compartir, ¿no?, este curso que se vislumbra pues muy exitoso. Y bueno, pues ahora daremos paso a la primera actividad del curso, que por cierto está siendo transmitida a través de INA TV, pues gracias al valioso apoyo de la Coordinación Nacional de Difusión, a todo el equipo de INA TV, muchísimas gracias por hacer esto posible. Y bueno, por supuesto, esta primera actividad me refiero a la conferencia introductoria que será impartida por el doctor Solt Vasaros y que lleva por título From Crisis to Crisis, Question for a Useful Documentation, Specifying the Problematics, Inspirational Case Studies, Making Awareness, How It Works, Toolkit, Collecting Questions, que más o menos la traducción sería de crisis a crisis, cuestión para una documentación útil, especificación de la problemática, estudios de casos inspiradores, creación de conciencia, cómo funciona, caja de herramientas, recopilación de preguntas. El curso, pues como ustedes saben, será impartido en inglés y bueno, pues esperamos que realmente lo aprovechen, se disfrute y pues sea una experiencia que nos deje pues a todos, que nos amplíe a todos el conocimiento en estas materias. Y bueno, leeré una síntesis curricular de ambos profesores. El profesor Solt Vasaros es arquitecto, jefe de departamento en la Universidad de Tecnología y Economía de Budapest, en Hungría, en la Facultad de Arquitectura y en específico en el Departamento de Arquitectura Explorativa. Estudió arquitectura, arqueología y egiptología. Se graduó de la Universidad de Tecnología y Economía de Budapest, Facultad de Arquitectura, en 1997. En 2000 estableció su despacho, que lleva el nombre Narmer Architecture Studio, conocido por diseños innovadores y proyectos de investigación para museos, entornos arqueológicos y naturales. Actualmente está trabajando en varios proyectos de investigación en Hungría y Medio Oriente. Y el maestro Mort Bendegis Takacs. Bueno, ellos les dirán su nombre en verdadera pronunciación. You have to say your names with a real pronunciation. I'm really sorry. Es arqueólogo, profesor asistente, experto en 3D en la Universidad Católica Pazmani Peter. ¿Peter o Peter? Peter. Instituto de Arqueología, director del laboratorio SIG arqueológico. Estudió arqueología y estudios árabes, egresado de la Universidad Católica Pazmani Peter. Sus principales campos de investigación son el legado arqueológico de los últimos periodos sasánidas y primeros periodos musulmanes, la arqueología del Medio Oriente medieval, la investigación arqueológica no invasiva y la aplicación de sistemas de imágenes 3D. Pues ellos son nuestros profesores quienes llevarán este curso. We are very happy to have you here. From now on it will be English, I promise, so you can understand everything it will be said. And we are really very grateful. Thank you very much for being here and for sharing your knowledge in this field of knowledge. So it's all yours, the microphone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valeria. Thank you for your kind invitation, and thank you for all the hospitality what we are getting always from your side. The next hour will be mine. I would like to present you some of our projects from various fields of architecture and archaeology. This is a kind of appetizer. This is a kind of menu of our case studies, what we did, what we managed in the past, let's say 10 years. And of course, sometimes I will mention Benny, who is our colleague on several projects. But he will start with his knowledge tomorrow morning, when we start to work hardly. Please come tomorrow. This is not the only day of the course. And now, as I mentioned, I would like to show you the background of our projects, both physical and also theoretical. I have two legs. I have a professional background, as you see, or architectural studio, where I am also practicing since more than 20 years. And this is a small or a relatively small studio. We have 10 to 20 architects and interior designers and graphic designers. But we are working very hard, very intensively, and in the past 22 years, we had almost 500 projects, small projects, of course, a lot of small projects. We are dealing with we are dealing with museums mainly, and we realized a lot of museum exhibitions, but also other projects. My other leg is, let's say, the scientific background or the research base. As I mentioned here, this is my university, the Technical University in Budapest, Faculty of Architecture and our department, where I graduated 25 years ago, and where I'm working also for 25 years. Our company profile, as I mentioned, the museum exhibitions, museum design, museum extensions, visitor centers, or different kind of projects dealing with archaeology or monuments, or let's say heritage, interior design, or special museum technology and special heritage documentation. I don't want to go into the details. Those are just some print screens from our website. You can see maybe the variety of the projects on exhibition design and interior design. Some of them are visible here, but I would like to show you some of them in details. Just some exhibitions, because I during our very long flight, I read all of your CVs and motivation letters and your questions. I created a huge Excel database having all of your questions and expectations, and also your current work and current interest. And I also slightly modified this presentation, because 2/3 of this group are architects, 8 to 10 people are archaeologists and art historians, and many of you are dealing with museums, or you are directors archaeological zones or exhibition spaces. And also some of you asked how to deal with the 3D data. How wide is the field where we can use this data? And this is what this will be one special topic for one day. How to use this data, not only for documentation. We can use these things also for visualization of our plans, or we can use it for directly in our exhibitions. We can use it as exhibition graphics or multimedia content, and those are just some new examples from the past years. How we created an exhibition on the 500 years anniversary of the Protestantism in Hungary, or this was an older exhibition about the Renaissance architecture in Hungary. How we combined the 3D graphics, the stone fragments and architectural models, or very simple exhibition design in historical places, or some, let's say, heartbreaking design. This is a Holocaust exhibition. It was designed by us 20 years ago. It was one of the first exhibition. What we did is the same exhibition where we designed the demolished interior using only glass, remembering the missing communities. Or this is also a new one, a very high quality villa and the noble and the table, let's say, of a nobleman in Hungary, or a volcano. We had also volcanoes in the past, not like you, and we are remembering the volcanic activities only in museums and in exhibitions, and this is one of them in Hungary. Or another one. This is very different from the previous examples. It is a memorial exhibition of a textile factory, or remembering of a family who were very important in the textile founding of the textile industry in Hungary. Or a museum about our great river, the Danube, and the water usage. It is a very interesting multimedia exhibition. Or also we are dealing with a lot of art exhibitions. This is a Franz Messerschmitt exhibition in the Museum of Fine Arts in Budapest. This is an old sculpture, a hole in the same museum, or the Egyptian art, where we designed a very special showcases with interactive glass panels in front of the objects. Or one of my favorite, Inca exhibition 15 years ago. We had a great opportunity to make a very rich exhibition, having objects from Madrid and from Lima, from Peru. It was really great, and also among the first of our professional activity. And also we really like this kind of let's say very minimalist exhibition, like the great photographer Helmut Newton, or the Renaissance. For that, it was a Botticelli exhibition. For that, we have our really great historical spaces like this one, like the Castle of Chapultepec. Is the same period, the second half of the 19th century, and this is a unique opportunity when the interior, I mean the style of the interior, meets the topic, and this neo-Renaissance architecture meets the original Renaissance artworks. This is a really rare thing when we can really use on a proper way the historical interiors. Or the same interior installed for Paul Cézanne, the great painter. And also you mentioned in many CVs that you are currently dealing with historical buildings, or you are already working on historical buildings, thinking about their future, thinking about restorations. And many of you as architects are trained or educated for specialists in monuments preservations. We had a lot of wars in Hungary. We don't had too much natural catastrophes, but terrible wars and civil wars and fallen revolutions. But instead of these catastrophes, we have a lot of heritage buildings and sometimes, like in this case, this is Veszprém. It's a very small town, and currently one of the cultural capital of Europe in this year. And here we had the opportunity 10 years ago to refurbish a whole building, and that was for me the first time when I was really touched by a historical value, by a multi-layerity of a historical value, and I was really shocked that I because I wasn't able to understand all the small parts of the building. At that time, it was 2009 or 10. We don't had these technologies. We had just the measuring tape and the laser distometer, and maybe in exceptional cases we were able to make a kind of orthophotograph, but it isn't an orthophoto, of course. And most of you are architects and archaeologists. These ground plans are clear that this is a very small but in history very rich building. You can see in the uppermost corner the two medieval cellars, and on the ground floor the 18th century, the first floor the 19th century, and the uppermost floor it was ours, the 21st century. The sections are more clear for a historian, that there are no walls upper each other, and because in the history people were very logic, and they were thinking very logical, but sometimes they did also mistakes, and they didn't were afraid from the statics and from earthquakes and these things, and they mixed the different kind of structures. And this is also an interesting task nowadays, how to recognize these mistakes, how to get acquainted with this problematics of the building. Some of you also mentioned this kind of wish. How can we use this technology to detect and to observe the mistakes, the old mistakes and the new mistakes, the new cracks or the new colors on the surface or on any kind of damages. Yeah, that was the result. It was a really good project and financed by the Archbishop of this city, and the budget was not endless and not limitless, but really good, and we just kept all the periods. We didn't rewrote anything on the spatial structure of the building. We restored every periods, and we just added very small things like these glass doors, because nowadays we need another comfort, and this new element here above me, this copper extension, which is hosting the new staircase. This was the only place where we added a new element, but we used a very old-fashioned, very traditional material. Nowadays it is black and started to be green, like the copper. This is the life of the copper, and we really like it. And also the interior, we tried to excavate the cellars and this rich layers above the ceilings of the cellars, and we presented for the visitors a lot of secret things. We restored the main staircase, and we used the roof as a completely new space that was burnt in the beginning of the 20th century, and we didn't reconstruct the old wooden structure. We used it as we did a formal construction and from outside, and we use the interior as a new exhibition space. And maybe after tomorrow or on Friday, I would like to speak about the 3D visualizations, because that is also a very interesting field, because if we are making a 3D documentation with LiDAR or with photoscan or any kind of method, finally we have the data, and we can use this data, as I mentioned in the beginning. And this is just a very small collection what we did in the past 20 years. We developed a lot of 3D content for museum terminals, for exhibitions, for internet, for guide, for audio guides or visual guides in archaeological parks. And this is a very good combination. Good to know that the same data is fit for this kind of usage. That means that only once is necessary to produce it, but do it well. If you do it, and you can use it really later on for different purposes. And I just want to pick up one example. This is a reconstructed view of our first city from the Roman times. This is Savaria, and founded by the Emperor Claudius in the 1st century AD. And during a scientific project, we scanned small remains of this city. This junction is already visible in a cellar, and we scanned some stone capitals and some stone pieces. And the museum decided, okay, let's have a new exhibition about Savaria. But what they have, only small objects and this junction, this street junction. And finally we developed a very high, let's say a high resolution, a photorealistic view of this junction. We created this strange geometry, not because of our wrong eyes, so because of an idea. We created an elliptical space within, like this one, like this room, within a museum interior, and we projected this high-resolution graphics to the walls, and this one gives really a very interesting impression. And the people are photographed. Those are the staff of the museum. The director is on the balcony, and the archaeologists are on the street, and everyone is wearing a reconstructed Roman clothes, and everyone is an actor in the latest show of the museum. That was really a good experience. And about 10 years ago, there was a big change and a big choice in our studio, because we won a competition, the new National Museum Conservation and Storage Center. It was a huge project in the beginning, 60,000 square meter, but later on it was reduced to around 40,000 square meter. It is not far. That was the first visual, maybe in 2014 or 15, when we started with the permit plans. And that project really changed the life of our studio, because that was the time when the scale of the studio became bigger. We were 40 architects together, and plus 100 different kind of engineers and external colleagues. But nowadays we are again only 15. That is much better. And that was the idea, to save two very important and interesting hospital buildings from the 19th century, and to add a new wing, let's say, where we have four levels, 4 underground levels for museum artifacts. This is the largest artifact storage in Central Europe. There we have 1 million artifacts. and 3 levels and 3 above the ground levels for the restoration workshops, and those are the facades. And the realization started 2016, and last year the last artifact also arrived to the storage center, and that's the building, how it looks like. And this is a view together, the new building and the reconstructed old hospital buildings. There are some new contemporary additions, new staircases and arrival spaces, because the old hospitals doesn't have this kind of facilities. And also this building, this one in the left side, it was a former visitor center, let's say, in the 19th century, and later on it was used as a synagogue for the Jewish community here in this neighborhood. And later on, this middle part, what you can see on the border of this on this photo, this middle part had 26 different functions. This is really amazing. This was a very special kind of building archaeology, and we had, of course, old plans, and we used the walls as a kind of mind map and a kind of functional map. What kind of functions had this poor building? And finally, we just reconstructed the ceiling, because we had a report from the end of the 19th century, from the inauguration day, that the ceiling was painted this kind of blue, and everyone was satisfied, and we reconstructed it. But we left all the walls so roughly, and because that is a kind of memorial place of the Jewish community of the former hospital, and we are in the center. This is the center building of the National Conservation Center. I think that was a good decision to leave it like this. We restored we just not restored, just reconstructed. Yes, consolidated the walls. Sorry. And this is the interior of the new building. This is the picture frame restoration workshop. There are more than 20,000 square meters, special laboratories. It's really an amazing building, and this one influenced our life for 10 years. This is something. And this is the painter workshop. It's really nice, and this is just the floors. And I pick it up this project just very shortly, but we would like to good start. But we have also other things, and in this case we used first the metashape for surveying the landscape, for surveying the terrain, because it was necessary for the architectural design. And the next one, this is an ongoing project since, I don't know, maybe 20 years. This is the neighborhood of my family. I grew up here. This is the smallest wine region in the world. Only 500 hectares with a very special wine. And I really like this micro architecture, what we have here, more than 3,000 wine cellars, vernacular architecture, really. And we started every summer to survey here the buildings, these small cellars. The oldest are from the 17th century, the newest are from the 90s or the 80s or of the 20th century. And this kind of buildings, those are our students. And of course, beside surveying the cellars and testing the wines, we were very curious about the hill, and this was our first experiment with the LiDAR. I know that you are curious about the possibilities of the LiDAR, but the LiDAR is a very expensive tool, and even this LiDAR in the newest iPhone, this is also very expensive, and we will tell you that for what purpose is it good not good. But in this case, sorry, I go back. In this case, it was very important to know what about the top of the hill, because this is the largest Bronze Age and Iron Age hill fort in Europe. But we don't know because it is forested. And the LiDAR, as you know, it is very good. You have also brilliant results from the south of Mexico, newly discovered Maya cities and everything. But and this was our first experiment, because the European Union financed a large-scale project to measure all the fields, all the grapes, how many hectares do we have. And we got this data for nothing, for 10 euro or something like that. And we started to evaluate and to develop our terrain model. And we produced, it is a 5 or 6 years old thing. And 6 years old model. It is not the best accuracy, I know. But and later on we worked on a little bit more, and finally, and it was really shocking for us that we discovered all the ramparts. We can see all the Iron Age and Bronze Age ramparts, and during field surveys, when we found the shards and the related finds, like you, 10 of you or 9 of you are practicing archaeologists. You know what I mean, and that was really a big adventure for us. The LiDAR is good for this purpose, to detect, to discover, but that's all, and to document things, to have very detailed documentation. For that you have to use another things. And of course, there are a lot of results, 300 surveyed buildings and the topography of the hill. There are a lot of things. We are enjoying the hospitality of the hill every summer for a couple of weeks, and those are really memorable moments of the education. And this case study in Transylvania, this is Romania. This is our neighbor country. This started also 10 years ago, and that was our first international project where we started to use all this kind of tools. When that was the first year in my life when I saw the magnetometry or other geophysical tools, and here we used first the drone. Here we started to document the terrain, to photograph the terrain, to develop contour line maps or simple models. But at that time, very honestly, I wasn't really interested in, because it wasn't my specialty. I was here every summer with 30 architectural students to do something. And we used the results of these methods for our education and for educating our students. As you can see, it's a very one of the last, let's say, untouched small village in Transylvania. And you can see here the top view of the village, and here the beautiful result of the magnetometry. It is a volcanic area, and the Romans used stones from other mountains and mud brick, and that disturbed the context of the terrain, and the magnetometry is gave us a very accurate plan of the Roman castra. Archaeologists started to dig, started to explore the details, but we architects, we immediately started to design, and our dear German archaeologist colleagues little bit angry what you are doing. At first, we have to excavate everything. We have to know what we have here, okay, but the people don't have patience. And tourists are coming. This is a very famous place in Transylvania. We have to show something for the visitors. And this is just an image how it was 2,000 years ago. And in the first year, we made a competition for our students. Let's design small pavilions for the visitors and small time boxes, small time capsules. And in the forthcoming summer, we realized these small pavilions having small exhibitions inside, and the virtual model, virtual graphics on the walls, how it was the castle. In the next year, we made another competition for the students to design a lookout point to have an overview about the site, and that was the winning concept. And here you can see the bottom graphic is the plan, and the upper one is the realized. We reused some wooden poles and the paint on a special point where we have a stone, a concrete map of the Roman Empire marked where we are. And from this point, if you look into the valley, the painted tops of these poles shows the extension of the Roman castra. If you go down, you have the pavilions where you can get more information. And you cannot believe how happy the people are here, because for most of the people that's enough. They don't want to know anything about the latest classification of the barbaric potsherds or the newest coin finds, and that's all. They want to know what is it and where is it, where is the castra. But this is the next step. 3 years ago, we have another competition for the students. A huge protective building above the Principia, above the commander's building, and in the call we suggested, okay, let's use very simple constructions, very thin woods, because they don't have money for bigger sections, and that was the winning concept. A very simple building. The red panels is a kind of memory for the Roman army, the shield wall, and this is the interior, and this simple construction shows something about the previous, the Roman building mass. But we have to wait. It depends on some European sources, and I really hope we can realize it. This will be here. This is the middle of the Roman castra. But in the last summer, people asked to make some landmarks. Okay, we have the painted tops of the poles, and that is something from the top. But they need something. Where is the castra? And our colleagues measured the extension of the castra, and the students produced just very simple corners. And this is a flip-flop installation, and now that is there. And of course, the people are working on the fields, but it was a nice idea. And another disaster project dealing with the Romans. This is in Hungary, again a Roman fort. Originally, it was a very impressive fort, but nowadays we have only some remains in the Danube. And if we are lucky in the summer, we can see more from the stone remains. If not, we cannot see anything. Every year it is less, but the main thing, because the local mayor asked us, okay, let's do something, let's have good ideas what to do. But this is the Danube. It is forbidden to build anything except bridges, except facilities for any kind of engineering structures. And yeah, that was the fort originally. And we don't want it to make any reconstruction or consolidation of the ruins, because in winter, in a hard winter, we have ice. The whole Danube is frozen, and in the springtime, if the ice started to move, that moves everything. And also the stone walls were demolished because of the winter ice. And that was our suggestion: just create a scaffolding, like for the bridges, the form of the scaffolding from using steel, and the form is given by the authorities of this Danube, I don't know, engineering something, and we can, if this iron slabs are long enough, we can cut the undermost clay layers, and we can keep this interior dry. And that form is good against this winter ice. And now we are waiting for the realization. We have the money, or the local authorities having the money, and I hope it can be a very interesting solution. And now let's go to the big fishes. The two big experiences of us. We have in this year, we have a jubileum. 40 years ago, our professor started with a huge excavation on the project in Thebes, not far from the Mexican project. We are in the neighborhood, just 200 meters or 300 meters of the distance of the Puimre tomb, the TT39, and our excavation area. And yeah, you can see here, this is Thebes, the western part, and this is the excavation area. This is our excavation, and here, somewhere here is yours, the project of the Ina. And this is the Hatshepsut temple. This is the King's Valley. It's a very exceptional case. This is another shot from the same area. This is this white model is, of course, a theoretical reconstruction. It's not the case. Everything is ruined here, except the Hatshepsut temple, thanks to the Polish colleagues who are working on that. And those are the circumstances. Those are important because we have a little electricity, but nothing else. And if we are talking about smart methods on the field of archaeology and architecture, we have to count with the local circumstances. And we are not in the desert, of course. We are very close to the valley. Here in the background, that's the Nile Valley. Of course, we can have everything what we want, but the field work, you are partly archaeologists, you know what does it mean. We have to be prepared, and we have to choose the proper methods, and only in that case we can have good results. Just some cases. And as an interesting thing, when I prepared my diploma in 1997, 26 years ago, that was my first trip to Egypt, and that was the season when we created this map of this hill only by using measuring tapes and the traditional theodolite and nothing else, no total station or digital tools or everything. It was very, very tiring, but we were only 7, as far as I know. It is the team, and within 1 month we mapped a really huge area. So and in some cases, if we are in the desert or if we don't have electricity, or there are sites already like this, it is also possible to have good results. And it is also possible to draw just with the simplest AutoCAD based on a manual survey. So these drawings are done by me 20 years ago, and when I measured everything brick by brick and you know, digitized like this is very tiring, but the result is the same. If we are using smart methods, smart tools, the result will be the same. Finally, we will have drawings, 2D drawings beside the model. And of course, if we wanted to have a visualization, a 3D model, at that time, this is also 15 years old, must be registered for a visual museum, or maybe 20 years old, we had to build it in 3D Studio or SketchUp. At that time, we don't have. At that time, we had only 3D Studio, and everything is built. Or this one, we started to colorize the different underground later added structures to make it understandable even for us or for our colleagues what we are doing and what is this strange structure. This strange structure is maybe you don't know. This is the largest private tomb in Egypt, and this is larger than most of the royal tombs. It's 150 meters long, and the distance between the top of our pyramid and the burial chamber is around 80 meters. It is really huge, but you cannot imagine in that time, in 1983, our professor wanted to have a very small tomb. And he entered a very small tomb, but he didn't count it with this generosity of different spaces. And this is our luck and our unluck, because we are not ready yet after 40 years. And of course, with the first generation SketchUp, we did this model when we wanted to restore and consolidate the tomb, and the local authorities asked how it was, and it was the easiest way. This 2004 or 5 when we did it on the field. Yeah, and that was the act. And the next day we started with the consolidation. In Egypt there are no committees or nothing. Everything is our own responsibility, and the things are very fragile, and sometimes we have to make decisions, and before doing anything, of course, we have to document. Nowadays it's much easier, and we have to consolidate, because maybe in the next year, or in 2 years, or in 5 years, when we get next time the permission, it is also a challenge. Then maybe the things are gone. Those are some moments. And 10 years later, around 2017, 18, we started to redocument everything. Using drones, it's forbidden in Egypt. In the first year, we said, this is not a drone, this is a flying camera, but they don't believe us. And it is really, I don't know why. Also GPS is not allowed, but every phone has a GPS. But drones are not allowed. And in the very beginning, we just started to have a light camera, not phones, a small camera, and to do this, just walk around. And finally, the Agisoft, our magician, and produced these beautiful results. And really, every piece of stone was on the map. And because we don't had big distance from the ground, it was very accurate. And so it's a small trick. If you don't have drone, you have 2 arms and you can do it. And also sections, of course. It is easy to make on the terrain. Whole territory, almost the same territory what we did 25 years ago with the staff for a month. We did it within a week, and very, very accurate. But what about the objects? What about the reliefs? You also asked in some CVs, and where are the limits? Where are the borders? What we can do? And this is also something new for us, because our ancestors in this excavation, they documented a lot of things, but the project is not finished, and in this case, we are always curious, how can we do it better? And these new tools really opened for us a new world to redocument most of the things within few minutes, few hours, maybe few days, like this relief, for example, or what to do with the large number of objects. If you were in Egypt, you know, this is a one day, and just the selected special things, just the nice things. I know it is very, very un-archaeological, but the archaeology in Egypt, something special. We don't have in the tombs, we don't have the context. If we have a context, of course, we are doing like an archaeological excavation. But if not, if that hole, if the chamber is rubbered many times, sometimes we are finding a pet or a Coca-Cola bottle at the bottom. And but we don't know, of course, in the beginning, but we know from the first step that it is a mixed thing, or there are layers, or there are no layers. And full of finds. 30% of this rubbish is finds, potsherds, wood, everything, as you can see, because the temperature and the low humidity conserving everything. And of course, that is a hard work to manage this big amount of finds. We have to pre-select, we have to select the non-diagnostic finds, the big amount of shards. We have to select the diagnostic shards and the other things. And of course, we don't have time to draw everything. And we did it previously for many years. We have 30,000 drawings, pencil drawings, and we have more than 1 million finds only from this excavation. But in the past couple of years, we started doing something new, because we have very nice finds, very fragile finds, and if we discover something like this, it's a very, very unique painted mask from the Ramesside period, the Egyptians, I mean the local authorities, they are taking it to a storage, and you cannot see it, never. And in these exceptional cases, or if you find gold, I am always praying in every season, please God, don't give us gold. Because then we have to make a big announcement, inviting the minister, and making a big trouble festival, and of course we cannot continue our work. And we are lucky from this point of view. We didn't find any gold in this excavation, just some gilded surfaces. And these pieces, of course, are very, very fragile, or of this Old Kingdom statue, or coffin panels. And this is very, very important that to make documentation as soon as possible, as quick as possible, because beside a very, very untrustable electricity on the site, we don't have anything. We have some chairs and a table, and we don't have a laboratory. We don't have anything. And that's why a very precise documentation is very important. And also this is you in April. The circumstances are always excellent. As you can see, Benny's position, there are very stinky mummies and a lot of workers around him. But of course the context should be documented, because this is an open area, and we cannot organize the daily excavation that to discover something in 9 o'clock to have enough time to document it. We have to finish every section day by day. And yeah, those are our architectural students from this April, hunting for stone positions, and because we also started to recollect the 10,000 stone fragments to the tombs, because the Egyptian authorities would like to open these tombs, and most of them are beautiful, but some of them are not really, and very fragmented, and we started to put back the fragments. But for this purpose, we documented the current walls, and also we documented in 3D the stones, and now the big puzzling just started. Yes, and those are the nights in Egypt. Every night the table is, sorry for the beer, but this is just because of the hydration. But everyone has his own laptop, and Agisoft or other softwares are running. And if you use Agisoft, this will be your family member, and your wife or your husband or your closest relative. You will live together, because that's the method. And this is also something new what we started in the previous season, to redocument the rock tombs. This is also Benny's work, who photographed with a very good big camera, very good objective, because the accuracy depends on the tools, of course. And now we have this is a rock cut tomb, and this is the point cloth, this is the dense cloth. This is very accurate, maybe millimeter or 2 millimeter accurate. And there are some wall paintings, very damaged, and yeah, the dearest students are hunting for pigments. Maybe there is something. And based on the rendered view of the irregular wall, we, following a method developed one of our colleague, Hungarian colleague who is working for the Chicago University, we started to make a new epigraphical documentation. Just because, okay, we have a photo, but we cannot see anything on the photo because the colors are damaged. There are bigger cracks, there are smaller damages, or any kind of damages. But if we draw just the pigments and just the lines, and everything stays behind in the background, or just simply not drawn, it is a very strange work. One should have really colleagues with great patience, but the result is really great, because this is the result. If you have a painted something, and if you have a lot of painted monasteries, and in some cases the frescoes are beautiful and looks like new, but in some cases very or double layers, or doubled or washed down by the rain. But with this method, but I will talk about it in the next couple of days, and there is a beautiful book about it, a very good handbook how to do it, and you don't need anything except tablet and Photoshop and nothing else, and patience. Great, but yeah, and that's the method. Again, nothing secret. The Metashape or the Agisoft, we started to document or statues and carved stones. We don't have more than 8,000, and that is a big debate. But we have to do it because the stones are yes, and those are models, because the stones are very heavy. Some of them are so small, but I think the original place of the small stones we cannot find. There is a choice for the bigger ones, the 200-300 kilo stones, and we can move them once, we can turn them, we can make the photos from the two sides melt together, and this is something. Those are the models, and with these models we can work, we can puzzle, we can look for the original positions. And the latest thing in Egypt is this costly tool, this iPhone 12, 13, 14 Pro, which has this small dot here, the leader, And I also didn't trust it, but we had a student last April who walked through, this is the same site, what we mapped 25 years ago during a month, 7 people. And this colleague, Adam, he walked through on the surface, and also he walked through all the underground things which were accessible at that time. And I think he spent no more than 2 days. And at home, maybe 3 days with the post-processing. And now we have, okay, this is it isn't a high accurate model, but I can download it any time to my phone. I can show it. I can personally, I can check everything if I'm writing the report. Okay, how is it with that tomb, with the chamber? I cannot remember. And I think this is amazing. This is not instead of Agisov, not instead of LIDAR, not instead of the manual measuring. It is something, and this is that is how we will start tomorrow to make a kind of classification among the different tools and methods. Which one is good for what? Because there are really big differences. And I was a little bit sad because in the past years I finished the very manual survey of a tomb. It's a very strange ground plan. Here are the sections. This is a very strange structure. I did it only with measuring tape, nothing else, because the spaces are very tiny. But Benny did it within 2 days with a high accuracy, with his camera, and thanks to the metashape, now we have the same. In 3D, we compared the two things, and I was very accurate. I don't have to modify anything. But in this case, if we nowadays, we can produce this one first, and to redraw the contours and to one down, and maybe to control it and not spend weeks what I spent for these drawings 10, 8, 9, 7 years ago to have a good documentation. Okay, small patience. Because this is another flagship project, also in Egypt, this Hassan Fathi survey mission. He was a great architect in the 20th century. If you are dealing with vernacular architecture, you should know him. And his most important works are in Luxor, in front of our eyes. I visited these monuments, and I became very sad in 2015 when we started with this mission. Then, thanks to the movements in Egypt after the Arabic Spring in 2011, people wasn't afraid from the UNESCO, from the local authorities, and they started to remove these buildings, and every kind of old buildings. They didn't trusted it, and that was so remarkable, and we were so sad that we established this mission, and with a big aim. Okay, let's document everything what was designed and built by Hassan Fathi, and later on we traveled through the whole country, because we contacted the American University in Cairo. Fortunately, they have the full archive, 10,000 plans and 5,000 photographs, and I don't know, it was really a lucky situation that they got it. And after the first experiences, we recognized that there is something interesting, because no one did this survey before. No one surveyed Hassan Fathi's building because he's famous. And there are 1,000 books about him, everyone photographed, and there are the plans. But when we measured and documented manually the first buildings, and we went to Cairo and we compared with his own signed plans, and there was a difference. because Hassan Fathi was the first architect who introduced the community-based design. And he designed something because he was a great artist, a golden boy from Alexandria, having a Turkish wife from the Sultan's court, and he designed something great, nice, and well designed. But when he went to the building site, he contacted the peasants, the local people. He changed his mind, and he changed the plans. But no one documented it before, and that's why our work got a very big value, and that's why we did everything. Now it's just one house in Alexandria is not surveyed yet, but that isn't in a danger. We have time, and of course the beauty of his building, that would be enough, but the main aim was what I mentioned previously. And I just want to show you one case study why we are in danger. But I think also you, and I saw in some portfolios sent by you very beautiful surveys and vernacular architecture. But this is very fragile. It is not for the eternity, and a day should come when everything will gone. And in the case of the world famous New Gurna, it was the first pilot project of Fathi. That was the original plan, and only this one was built due different reason. That was the dream. That was the photo, maybe the only photo of the best part of this village. And we started to make a comparison, which buildings are still there, which are in danger, and we did this survey every year, and we recognized that finishing the New Gurna survey in 2020, 5 years after starting this project, only the big public buildings, the theater, the mosque, and the Khan was there. Everything else was gone, and we are the last surveyors, let's say, who saw this building. And for example, this is Hassan Fathi's own field house. Now it is gone, and the whole neighborhood is like this, because there are no rules. After the Arab Spring, all the rules were cutted, and everyone can build what they want, and this, let's say, this informality and not illegality, because there is a big difference between Caracas and Cairo. This is an informal village, has eaten everything what Fathi designed and built here. And also we started to make a comparative analysis. This is the white one, is the built part, the yellow, what was there when we started, and this is the current situation, having the new buildings, and we are monitoring this part every year, and one of our doctoral students is managing this project. And that was the case when we started in 2015. This one was, because it is also demolished now, one of the house of one of the most famous Egyptian family, the Abd al-Rasul family, who looted the Kings Valley tombs and for generations. And Fathi designed for them a very exceptional house. And the family lived here still. From a specific point of view, it's good if people are living or using this building for any kind of purpose. But from another point of view, it's not good, because after a decade or two decades, the vernacular architecture is missing. And that happened. We surveyed this part of the building on a Saturday, and we came back on Monday, and that happened. And the new one is started here. That is amazing. In Egypt could happen anything within one or 2 days. But thanks to the Metashape, we did a lot of photographs from the street, and some of them from the tops of the neighboring buildings, and we documented. That was our first experiment, how to document a complex structure. and not thinking about, like an architect, okay, I need a facade, I need a ground plan, I need sections. No, I have 1 hour or 2 hours or this tea. While we are drinking this tea, we have a few minutes, and okay, let's make photos, and we were able to generate the orthomosaics or renders at that time, and at home we had time in our offices and studios to draw the facades and the reconstructions. And of course, those are some secondary results of this work, that we can make comparisons with the published plans, for example, the famous mosque in Luxor designed by Fatih, and how it is in the reality. And believe me, those are really the first plans. We are publishing the first plans about his life work, and in the 1,000 books and dissertations and articles, everyone used the same wrong plan. Someone published it in 30 years ago, and no one checked it. Yeah, and some beauties from the desert, also Hassan Fatih, but this is not in danger, because it is far from all human being. This is his field house. 2015, end of January, same year, end of March. Half of the building is missing, because the local people told us, you are for sure from the UNESCO, and we have to remove the building before UNESCO is coming. At that time, I didn't understood this conversation, but nowadays I started to understand. But we surveyed the building, and now, based on our plans, will be reconstructed, hopefully, and the UNESCO will pay. This is good. Yeah. And our common project, this is the last one, the Syrian project, and this is important because as you saw, most of the projects we started in 2015 because that was the year of the catastrophes. And if you check in the CIA fact book, it is a very good source for different statistics. That was really the catastrophe of year of the catastrophes on the planet Earth. And your case came 2 years after, unfortunately. But 2015 was the first year when we were able to go back to Syria, because Benis University, the Catholic university, had this project from 2004 or 5, but because of the war, they interrupted. And but in 2015, when the Russians, the same Russians who are having the war against Ukraine, the same Russians started to protect Syria, to protect at least this coastal zone where we are working, where all the Christians are living. And this is a very subjective viewpoint, but in that case, Russians were on the good side, I guess. Now, I don't know on which side history will provide it. So we find out, or the head of the mission, Dr. Balázs Major, find out there is a possibility to go to Syria via Ankara or Istanbul to Beirut, and from Beirut by car to Syria. And of course, we confronted these terrible views, the devastated cities, and because some parts of these cities where we have heavy battles. One of this site is the world famous Crac de Chevalier, maybe the most famous medieval fortress from the 12th, 13th, 14th century, and that was also touched by the war. And I just want to show you the scale of it. But you are familiar with huge cathedrals and monasteries. But this is a medieval castle, and this is a car. Or this is a small pickup. And this is really a huge monster. And there was a battle, and the walls were strong enough against RPG and tank shells and everything. But the last rebels who were stayed here during the battle, they started to explode part of the castle, and that was the terrible demolishment. Not even the battle. And the Ministry of Antiquities, like INA, in Syria there is also a similar organization, and they offered or asked, I don't know which one is better, to beside the main project of, in the Margaret Castle, to start here with a survey. In the beginning, a damage map. We created the damage map. We have 2,500, around 2,500 shots on the castle walls, and we started to document and to categorize RPG, tank shuttle, shell, and the smaller things, and the sniper shot, and the sniper shots are amazing. They are going through 1.5 meter stone. It is really amazing. But the worst things were this one, because we didn't understood how can a staircase disappear like this, and during a battle for sure not, and the only way was that the soldiers or the rebels who were here, they used landmines, and they exploded the structures, and that is a very huge problem for us, because from these chips you don't have the chance to recollect the construction again, or the famous cloister. This is the earliest Gothic in the world, 12th century, earlier than the Notre Dame, and it is really amazing. And that was the really badly affect. And here also we started to recreate the shapes. We had the imprint of the great staircase. We had some previous photographs did by tourists or even Balázs, the head of the mission, and we recreated the form and started to find some pieces of stones, but we gave it up. If we reconstruct the staircase, we have to use new stones. There's no chance to find anyone because of this explosion. Even the stones are broken, and there are no useful geometry. In the case of this part, we were a bit more lucky because this part was restored and reconstructed in the 50s and in the 30s by Paul Deschamps, a very good and really a fascinating French archaeologist and architect, and he reinforced these Gothic arches, and during the battle, they parts exploded out in big pieces, and now we have the chance to recollect it. They were consolidated once, and or Deschamps changed some of the stones, and now we have the original, the good pieces from the 50s, and now we have the decision to use the original, the newer, or we have to produce a new one. Yes, and those were the circumstances in the first years of the war. And of course, sometimes the work was, the site work was quicker, like our digital methods, and the dear Syrian colleagues cannot wait for our models and AutoCAD documentation. We did some sketches, and they started immediately to cut the stones, because when we were running the models, they asked for the exact sizes of the stones because they started with the work. You know, this kind of circumstances. Sometimes we have to be very, very flexible. But that was really amazing what they managed during the war, and this kind of awareness and this kind of ambitions that during the war they started to reconstruct the castles, to consolidate the most weakest parts. This is really something. And this is the corner of the chapel. It was also damaged during the battle, and this is the consolidated one where we change the stones. And this is one of our newest results from the last year, the completion of a damaged facade of the castle. We are using the same stones, and after 5 years, 10 years, the surface oxidation will give the same color, don't worry. If you go to Syria in 10 years, I guess it is possible, you cannot see this difference in the colors. This is not our drone. This is those are the Russians who were watching us. Our drones are here during technical assistance. And of course, that was the time, because we was also not born as using these tools and LIDAR and I don't know. That was the first time, and especially Crac de Chevalier, this castle, the first problems with the big data and the accuracy. If you are doing good resolution pictures, you will have a very huge model. And especially in our office, we have a very good computer. But for example, only for this one, for 2 towers, and this is the tiny part of the castle, our computer is not enough. We should call, in this case, always Benny and his laboratory. They have the capacity 18 or 20, or I don't know. He will tell these details tomorrow morning how it works. But you know, step by step, we want always more and more, but we have to be ready for getting the data. If you are not ready to get it, to evaluate it, to develop it, then it is really useless to go there and to do anything. Yeah, to cut the trees and the vegetation. This is an ongoing project. Also in Mexico, Syria has a similar climate like you, and the walls are every year full of vegetation, and the different light circumstances, fixed points, geodesy. Yes, and the nights are similar in Syria, like in Egypt, but not nowadays. And this is also a viewpoint, because in Egypt we don't have problem with the electricity. In the beginning in Syria, because of the war, due to the war, there were limitations for the electricity, but we had every day 3-4 times for an hour or for 2 hours. That was enough to charge our batteries, or in the evening while we were sitting and eating, the laptops were running and generating the models, because this is an important part of the working method. If you are abroad and your object is not in the garden, or in the next couple of days, then it is very important to check it, to run it in a low resolution, and because if it is not working, then you have to repeat it, because it is useless if you come home and your model is not working. But nowadays, Benny was there in October, 1 hour or less a day per day. 1 hour is not enough to charge your mobile phones, and I'm really happy that we have a really huge amount of data from Syria, and we did it 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and many of them in the beginning when we started, because that's the data from which we are working now. Now it's impossible to use our latest methods because there is no electricity. There is nothing in Syria, and really the world is sorry for saying this, but the world forgot Syria, because there is another war, and no one is caring about the Syrian war since 12 years. And that's the problem, and so this kind of view we cannot have nowadays if we go there, because the circumstances are not good. And just some very nice examples, but we will mainly Benny will talk about the Syrian adventure, because there are also different scaled case studies, the whole castle, parts of it, the cloister, the knight's hall, how to deal with the different geometry, how to make the sections, as you asked in your motivation letters. And also we will show some drawings, some AutoCAD drawings, some results, what is coming after modeling, after generating the models, and the survivors of maybe the first mission, but the number of the members is the same. Yes, and I don't want to go into the details because it will be one of the most important case study in the next couple of days. Just one thing, because 3 years ago we had a 1 week, a very intensive week survey here. We visited 8 churches, San Loreto, Jesus Corazon, Tlaquiltenango, Tepoztlán, very different kind of churches. But in one case, maybe you know it, maybe not, this is the Malinalco, Templo de Jesus Maria. It is a very small church. And we have chosen this one because that was doable for us. And what does it mean? We have 1 day or half day for every site. We also tested our knowledge and also we tested our tools. And this Malinalco, the small church, was good enough and small enough to complete a survey. And from here we have, I think, very, very important statistics. But we will talk about it. We got, and that is also very good, we got complete survey plans from Maria Ezeta. I remember good? Yeah, Lucia Ezeta. Yeah, those are AutoCAD drawings, very good and very accurate drawings. And that's why we have chosen this site. Of course, we surveyed manually because we need the data. The software cannot give the data, and there are always corners in shadow and a lot of problems. This is not, you have to make it always. This is not something for forget. And the section, of course, we measured. We have the tape and laser distometer and the profiles and everything. But, and here are the most important things, because you are working for a big organization, most of you. And most of you are doing catalogs. And you want to learn these methods to have accurate documentation, to document the word, to survey the word, but to do it on time, to do more than one per year, or maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 100. It depends on how you start, how you choose the appropriate method, and how you choose the way of thinking. And it is a very good example for that. As you can see, the technical things, okay, of course we had a drone, we had a very good camera or 2 cameras, the other things at home, of course, the workstation, 8 persons. I was the project manager who is doing nothing. The UAV pilot was Benny, and SFM, the structure from motion expert. We had one more structure from motion expert. That means Benny was photographing with the drone, and Clara, the other colleague, with the camera, and 5 architects were doing the manual survey. And, yeah, of course, we will talk about it. And we had only 4 hours, because previously we surveyed the big monastery in Malinalco, and the documentary team from INA with a camera came to us, and they disturbed our work, very honestly. And that's why we had to finish everything within 4 hours. We had 4 hours, and that's why it's a good comparison, that 4 hours on-site work time for the 2 photographers, also 4 hours for the 5 architects team for the manuals. And they did floor plans on details, 2 sections, and profiles. It's altogether 4 hours, of course, but in 2 teams. That means within 4 hours fieldworks, you can survey a Malinalco-like church. That should be enough. And later on, of course, at home, we run the models, but for that also we have 30 minutes, 5 hours. It is also not end of the world. Within 1 day, one can manage if you know how to do it, and if you know the smart tricks. And finally, within 4 hours field work and 1 day office work, we have a very accurate model. Exterior model based on drone photos, interior model based on camera photos. Just the statistics, we had 2,500 photos. It is also not too much, because you can do also 10,000 and with less result at the end. And the mesh, and that was very good, that finally we were able to compare the received AutoCAD drawings, which were really, I think, really good. And we made a comparison. There are, of course, differences, because if we are working with the manual things, we cannot measure every deformations and every strange geometry. But in this case, and that is a big advantage of any kind of photogrammetry or structure from motion on any kind of scanning method, that you have the data. And if you need a very accurate documentation, not plan, a plan is another thing, then it is good. For example, for the tower, you can see here there are small differences, but I guess Lucia don't had the possibility to climb up and to measure exactly the tower. It's not a shame on her, of course. And of course the exterior of the tower is much more accurate based on our documentation like the previous one, but it isn't a shame. Again, it's important. And the longitudinal section and the ground plan, there are also some smaller differences. I think what Lucia did, it was a one-man show, and she was able to measure the concave corners and the convex corners, not always, and that's why there are smaller mistakes or inaccuracies, not mistakes, inaccuracies on the ground plan. And this is the interior. That was very interesting, that there is a very small deformation because of an earthquake, I guess. The whole wall is deformed, and if it's a 3D deformation, it is no way to measure it using traditional methods. And it is really the very end. An architectural professor is happy if the students are satisfied. They are not always satisfied during the surveys. They are satisfied if we go back to Budapest, and if they are usually choosing diploma sites where we have been working previously, and this is really a big adventure for me. If students who were participating, for example, on the Hassan Fathi survey project, they are designing schools for Egypt, for Africa, and they are touched with Fathi's design, not the formal thing, it's the spatial way of thinking. Or another competition project to Cairo, or other project who is the student designed for us a research base in Egypt. It was very kind of him. Or another thing, just an algae research base in the desert of Egypt, and they are also very talented student. Or a reuse of the famous Hassan Fathi's market, which is empty now as a weaving manufactory. So, and the Seismological Institute, one of our students who was not here in 2019 because he became sick, but later on he has chosen a plot in Oaxaca, and he designed a very impressive seismological test laboratory. It's a huge one. In Japan there are similar facilities. It is a very huge hall where you can build up a 6-story high building with an amazing technology downstairs, and in these laboratories the Japanese are testing their high-tech buildings, how how big earthquake they can survive. This is a diploma project, of course, not a real thing, but this student was really amazed by Mexico, but he wasn't here. And this is the Beirut explosion a few years ago, and also one of our students developed a diploma project for this site. And sorry, with my appetizer, I've been a bit late, but thank you for your attention.
Thank you very, very much, Salt. You have for sure the ability for always surprising us. These cases that you show us are just really impressive. I'm sure we'll be learning more from you both, but the beginning of this workshop has been just great. So I really want to thank you very much. And I just want to announce you that it's time for the coffee break. We are a little bit late in schedule, but I think it's all right. And with this conference, we also finish the transmission on INA TV. And thank you again a lot. And we'll be here with you all day, so I won't say goodbye. Just the coffee break is just here outside. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.